group of MK Party members of Parliament are calling for the removal of Chief Whip Colleen Makhubele. They've written to party president Jacob Zuma accusing her of being autocratic. MPs claim she makes key decisions without consulting the rest of the caucus. Makhubele is also accused of supporting Israel, which they say goes against the party's values. These developments come as a leaked letter allegedly written by MK Party leader in Parliament, John Hlophe, reveals deep divisions within the party's ranks. This is over the conduct of MPs at Duduzile, Zuma-Sambudla and Nhlamulo, Ndhlela. All right, we are joined now by MK Party spokesperson Nhlamulo Ndhlela, who speaks to us from Johannesburg this evening. Ms. Ndhlela, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. I'd like to start with your status as a member of Parliament. There is a letter circulating bearing the signature of your leader in Parliament, Dr. John Hlophe, and this letter simply says that you are removed as part of the team in the whippery. Can you confirm whether or not that is authentic?
Yes, no, good evening, Colleen, and good evening to your viewers. We have seen, and I've also came into contact with that letter via obviously social media as it was trending and circulating. Let me categorically state the following. I've had a conversation with the party leader, Dr. Hlophe, and party leader then said to me, in his response to say, Sompis, he refers to me as Sompis, my digital signature has been abused. And I pretty much left it at that. So effectively, I've never seen that letter in its physical form. I've never received it. And when I spoke to the deputy president and party leader in Parliament, that was his response to me, that his digital signature has been abused. And I guess that in of itself is telling.
Yeah, and I take it, therefore, that that would go the same for Ms. Zuma-Sambudla.
Well, I guess we're referring to the same letter, is my understanding, based on your question.
Yeah. All right. Let's then move the conversation to Colleen Makhubele, the Chief Whip. What is her status in regard to that very position I've just mentioned, Chief Whip?
So Honorable Colleen Makhubele is the Chief Whip of the MK caucus and MK Party in Parliament. That has never changed. Let me just also touch on the fact that, when they refer to whippery, yes, we make changes within whippery. Let me just also highlight this, because at one point I was communications whip. I had to step down because we had said that we want to obviously bring about gender parity. In actual fact, before she was even Chief Whip, Honorable Colleen Makhubele was then, I'd actually nominated her to lead in that role as communications whip. Naturally, because of the roles that I play and the fact that, one cannot be in or playing all multiple roles. And I gave her that role. So she then continued as Chief Whip of Communications, and then she became the Chief Whip of caucus. So there's nothing, quite honestly, that is untoward within the caucus. The caucus is strong, and Honorable Colleen continues to be our Chief Whip in Parliament.
So where does this come from? Who has all this time to put together what appears to be authentic letters, and as you've now said, who then goes and takes the electronic signature of Dr. John Hlophe and proceeds to append that signature on these letters? Why would this be the case?
That's a very good question. That's one of the things that we obviously have to get to understand internally. But besides everything else, I think if it pertains to caucus itself, caucus is stable. Naturally, we don't discuss no political party, and that's the whole point of it being called a caucus, isn't it? We'll discuss issues that of caucus or strategy in Parliament with any external sources or publicly. So pertaining to the details of caucus itself, I am not in a position to discuss that, as I said, for natural, obvious reasons. But when it comes to letters that are floating around and being circulated in social media. That's something that we obviously need to get a grip on and get an understanding as to where is this coming from and how was this signature appended and actually who appended that signature.
Yeah. Before I move on from this, you say that you're not at liberty to discuss the content of what is discussed at caucus, but there does appear to be one particular issue, and that is Ms. Makhubele's express support for Israel, which, according to this letter, goes against the party's values. Is there any substance to that claim?
Well, look, the party's posture on pertaining to Israel is very clear. It's in our people's mandate. And we still believe that in a free Palestine, you'll have seen in many of our campaigns, we've been involved in those kind of campaigns, that we are a pro-Palestinian from a policy posture perspective. Now, as when the issue of Israel comes in, I'm not sure if that is coming from maybe some of the comments she may have made, I'm not sure, or if this is being referred to off the back of maybe comments that were made by her in her previous role as the leader of SARA. I'm not sure where this is coming from. But what I need to put across is that she is the chief whip of Umkhonto weSizwe, and she continues to be the chief whip of Umkhonto weSizwe within Parliament.
Is there a letter by members of Parliament from your party that has been written to the leader of the party in Nkandla, former President Jacob Zuma, raising the issue of the chief whip and her supposed conduct?
I was made aware of the same letter, by the way. I was not party to that kind of a letter. And I was made aware of that letter myself today when I received it from, the journalists. So again, in the same way I received the initial letter from journalists, I received this one the same way. So I am still to obviously get confirmation on that. But that's I guess, the situation that we're faced with right now, the fact that there is a letter that was leaked and it's made public.
Yeah. All right. I want to conclude the conversation on this score, Mr. Ndhlela, and that is that a lot has happened within the MK party in the shortest space of time. I mean, your party leader was even the person to say that your party has now had, I think, 7 secretaries general. So if Colleen Makhubele, we wake up tomorrow, she's no longer the chief whip of your party in Parliament. We wake up tomorrow and you yourself are not part of the whippery in Parliament, including Ms. Sambudla, Ms. Zuma-Sambudla. What should members of the public make of your party? Because that is going to strongly suggest that things are falling apart.
Well, I think if there's one thing that you need to commend us on is that in a space of 6 months, we got the kind of response from South Africans that we got. South Africans believe in us. South Africans continue to believe in us. Now, our party status is that we're the fastest growing political party in the country. Let's not forget that. We're the fastest growing political party in the country. Secondly, the majority of the members of Parliament, majority of them are below 50. Majority of them have never been in Parliament. But we are, in actual fact, factually so, punching above our weight. And that's a fact, contrary to whatever other people may be saying. And, for people to want to scrutinize us and maybe criticize us, and rightfully so, we welcome that because that's how we're actually growing. But no one can ever say that Umkhonto weSizwe's presence is not felt in Parliament. And if there's any changes that we make within the party, of course, we are strengthening the party. We make changes to grow, to strengthen our party posture in Parliament, to strengthen our agenda to deliver the people's mandate in addressing the issue of poverty, joblessness, and ensuring that we represent the people in Parliament accordingly. And that's our role. So we can't be stopped from doing that. And changes are changes. There's nothing wrong with changes whenever changes are taken, whether it be in the party, whether it be in Parliament. Like I said, I had to step down. I decided to step down as the whip of communications and then bring in another colleague who can then play that role. It's important that we adapt to the zeitgeist, the pulse of the nation. That is what is important for us as Umkhonto weSizwe. Being able to adapt and ensuring the flexibility to ensure that our posture is correct in addressing those issues.
So changes are afoot?
No, those are your words, and I think that's what you would like to see. We are very stable. If there's any changes, we'll make changes. Why not, if we need to be making changes? But right now, what's important is we're focusing on our parliament work.
Yeah.
We're focusing on being an effective official opposition. But more so, we're not caring about being an official opposition, to be honest with you, Goli. And this is what South Africans must know. We are the incoming government, and that's what we're focusing on. We're not focusing on being an opposition party. No, we are focusing on being in government and governing this country. It's about a path to power.
Quick question before I end the conversation. You would have seen...
Question from Tony.
You would have seen the former Secretary General of your party and
yes.
the Maibuye consultation that he is mounting, but he also says he is a member of the MK Party. Is that acceptable practice? Is that acceptable conduct?
Well, he is a member of Umkhonto weSizwe, and we've said categorically on multiple platforms that we want to understand what this consultative process is. We've been obviously monitoring and observing the presses that he's been doing and what he's been saying. They're appointing a task team as himself leading as a national convener. We are going to be discussing this internally. We're not a party that takes knee-jerk reactions to such. It's important for us to understand what is it that he's doing as a member of Umkhonto weSizwe, because Umkhonto weSizwe is the only platform, by the way, that can unite Black people for us to take power and to govern this country. So we need to understand how is this aligned with what the Umkhonto weSizwe people's mandate aims to achieve. And if it's to the contrary, then at that point we'll make a decision. I mean, we're having an officials meeting this week, and certain determinations will be made off the back of an assessment of what it is that he's trying to do. But again, he needs to account as a member, and we'll then take it from there. We are a very decisive leadership, but we apply our minds. We're not a leadership that just takes knee-jerk reaction.
So, but you can't apply that as a party to one individual. And I say this because the leader of your party only recently, once again, launched court papers saying that he wants to be a member of the African National Congress, the same African National Congress that he stands on platforms and rubbishes at every given moment. So how is Floyd Shivambu and his actions different to that of your party leader?
Well, firstly, President Zuma was not on probation. In Umkhonto weSizwe, the constitution is very clear that all members of Umkhonto weSizwe are on a 24-month probation period. Secondly, President Zuma never said, I'm going to move from ANC. He said, I'm going to not vote for the ANC. I'm going to vote for Umkhonto weSizwe party, which is what he did, and still stay as a member of Umkhonto weSizwe. And again, that is a decision, and also Umkhonto weSizwe, with him being the founder, we accepted that, we agreed to that. Here, it's a different situation. The constitution is very clear. You cannot just go and form another political party. And this, from what our understanding, is that it's a consultative process. So we cannot jump to conclusions that it is a political party as yet. Well, he's asking questions. Yes, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. The question is, will it be a political party? And if that is the case, and even based on the sequence of events leading up till today, we'll make a determination. President Zuma is a member of ANC, and he voted for Umkhonto weSizwe and will continue to be president of Umkhonto weSizwe and continue to be a member of Umkhonto weSizwe.
Interesting indeed. Thank you very much for your time. Nhlamulo Ndhlela, the national spokesperson of the MK Party.